in this mud hut is tea and a tin of condensed milk. And that image just stuck with me. It's so powerful as an image. So I thought, gosh, yes, condensed milk, gotta have it. So then you look at all these ingredients and they kind of pale. I put 3 dots of vanilla essence into it, by the way, because that's something else I might get to. Anyway, they're very pale color. Yeah? Very pale color. I'm white and I'm from Africa. People always say to me, if you've young children, they go, you sound funny, where are you from? I'm from Africa. No, you're not. I am. But anyway, when you cook fudge, because you cook my fudge, it gets this really, really lovely caramel color, which is what happens to me when I go to the sun in Africa. Here I'm very pale. Anyway, so it's this lovely color. Now, I don't think I have enough. So if you have a friend with you, snap it off, snap off a piece, and share. So what I did was I cast my head. I lined this mold with tin foil and butter, and then I poured batches and batches and batches and batches of fudge. And so I had my head made out of fudge. And then afterwards I went to the professor and I said, I want to give you a piece of my mind. And I gave him a lump of fudge from the middle. Yes. Anyway, so what I like to do when I teach now is explain how I am the fudge and fudge is me, and how it can be a self-portrait that's very revealing about me, but isn't as obvious to people as those are. It's much less raw in a way. And also, I give everybody a piece of me. It's a piece of me you're eating, and it's very yummy. Isn't it good? It's good fudge. And yeah.
I don't like fudge.
No. Because you eat my rubbish, but they sell it. Yes, exactly. Anyway, so I put the sprinkles on top because I really like color. I do. So these were kind of like a breakthrough for me and that portrait. And it only happened quite recently. And I like to tell my students that because I've been making art for a very, 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 very long time. I'm 35 now, for a long time. Yeah. Oh, you know, they say that you need 10,000 hours to become an expert on something. I think I put in my 10,000 hours. Anyway, so I lost the plot for a moment there. Right, so what I started doing was making these paintings. And what they are is the same sort of information as all of that. Is maps from above, from places that I've lived. Some of the paintings I start with a bedroom. Where my bed was is where one shapes to be, where the pillow is on the bed, where the cushions are on the bed, where my bedside table is, where my bookshelf was. The tracks on them are where I would walk, or it's a city, it's like my son's school, or where I went to school versus where, you know, and then, so that's how, they're not random marks in the beginning. They're informed by a story, it's a narrative that I'm telling. And so people think that they're abstract, and I suppose in a way they are, but this is sometimes how I teach abstract painting, is that it can be based in a very real place in your head, and that's why I read that quote. It's a lovely way of trying to repeat a memory that way. Anyway, but all my imagery is still reoccurring. My dots, my 3 dots in a row, the same colors are coming up over and over again. And then, I was on a show in South Africa once. Do any of you know who William Kentridge is? Yeah. William Kentridge. He gave me a prize at a show once. You should look him up. William Kentridge. He's very famous. He's very famous. He's very famous. He's very famous. And I made a cow, a life-size cow, out of paper, and it was made out of intellectual powers were those days. That was my big idea. I had some sort of vague idea about politics and white people being part of the machine and churning out work, and well, now I can talk about it much better than I did back then. Anyway, lovely big life-size sculpture. William Kentridge gave me a prize, Judges Award for it. He came up to me and he spoke to me for a few minutes. Wonderful part of my life, beautiful moment in my life. But on that show, there was a painting. And it's one of those big things in your life that you'll never forget. It was a person standing like that with one extra finger on one hand. And it was a beautiful oil painting, and it was all obliterated with white. You could barely see it except for the hands sticking out. It was the most powerful painting ever. I've got a photocopy of a newspaper article somewhere. I couldn't find it because I've been renovated. But anyway, and I just thought, wow, and only recently have I realized how much impact that painting had on me, because when I don't know what to do with the painting, I make a white wash and I wash it over everything. That's what I do. It's kind of my solution. It's so cool, and that painting was so great. But I do. Anybody who's seen one of my work will know, oh, I use the white wash again. It's my solution. But I noticed when I started doing this talk of preparing things that I do it at a certain moment. Put that white wash on. I do it when I'm unhappy with the ideas that built the painting, or the reason that I built the painting, or if it's about something in my life that I don't want to remember anymore now that I've pulled it to the surface, or if it's a situation that I don't like. So what I looked at, I thought, I made this with a series of paintings for a specific reason. It's for a family reunion. Everybody in the family got one. And it was so funny afterwards, I looked at them and I whitewashed every one of them. Interesting family life, hey? Anyway. But that's what I do. And I realize it's back from that one moment, years and years and years ago, that I do that. Anyway, that I did that. So what else can I tell you? I wanted to tell you that I sculpt if I have the time and the space, and I paint, but I also majored in printmaking, which is why William Kentridge is a very big and important person in my life. If you're taking notes and looking at artists, another artist you should look at is Victor. I did a course with her in university, and she does the most wonderful, wonderful work, and if you see her work, you'll see a lot of her in me, in my art, because she was so influential.
What's her last name, sorry?
Victor, Diane Victor. Yes, very wonderful artist. So printmaking, and that is something that I majored in at university as well as sculpture and painting and drawing. And then I paint portraits of my son. I've been painting them, I've been drawing little pictures of him when he was a little baby and asleep, and I only got a few minutes. I just draw little pictures of him. But I have an entire series of him every year. I paint a portrait of him, a big portrait of him, and in between I paint little sketches of him, so I've recorded his life. I also have a little sculpture of his hand and his foot in April every year since he was born. So I have this little collection of things. And I was laughing at myself today as I was looking through all the stuff and thinking, I'm ruthless, I throw stuff away. But it turns out, I'm not very ruthless. I have lots of stuff that I keep that I can't let go of. I paint my husband all the time, and I paint my dogs. Here's one of my dog, Girl, and I now have another dog. Yes. So, these are such nice, safe places to be, dogs, you know, paintings of dogs, your animals. Paintings of